Two structures, the fun way, an amusing adventure with coffee-filled examples by Jeremy Kubica. This is the start of a read-through, aka read aloud. Oh. This is the title page. Oh, hello, Cranberry Productions, aka Golden Rat VR. How are you doing today? You sure did make it to a stream. Awesome. Thanks for being here. This is going to be a quick one. I just have a little bit of time to fill before I go to work. How's your day going? Cranberry Productions says, I'm doing great. Awesome. That's a big difference from Golden Rat VR to Cranberry, but sure, that sounds good. Unfortunately, this might be a bit of a boring one. I find it interesting, but I find a lot of things interesting that not a lot of people do. Cranberry Productions asked, how are you? I'm doing okay. A little sleepy, but all in all, okay. So this is the credits page. Effective, well, not the acknowledgments, but more so, here is the information about the publisher page, something like that. And if anyone's interested, there are two ISBN 13 numbers. Surprisingly, there's no ISBN 10 number. The first one, Cranberry Productions, long story for the name. Hey, if you feel like sharing, I'm interested in knowing. ISBN 13 978-1-7185-0260-4 for the print edition, and ISBN 13 978-1-7185-0261-1 for the ebook. I did drop a link in the description for Amazon. That is my Amazon affiliate link. However long that lasts for, I don't know. I'm not very good at being an Amazon affiliate or associate or whatever. But yeah, what happened? How did you get from point A to point B? Oh, and next up is the, unlike the other books, this is one I own, so that's nice. This right here is the credits page. This is to Edith and Anthony, so I don't have to worry about parting ways with this book. That must be a long story if you're still typing away. Or were you waiting for a break? This is a good time if you want to share. I'll give you 2 minutes. Let's see if you are sharing. 2 minutes and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, starting now. So, I guess while I'm waiting nicely, assuming you're still here, Cranberry Productions, formerly known as Golden Rat VR. I'm looking forward to probably the weekend. If sooner, then cool. But I did start playing Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. I'm looking forward to continuing on with that. But also, I want to continue on with my playthrough of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. I'm almost done with that game. But also, I still want to continue my playthrough for Kindergarten 3. So we'll see how I can juggle everything on top of dancing, on top of the other stuff I want to do. Cranberry Production says, yeah, basically, I met with someone and they had a sleepover with me. And I said cranberry randomly. And they said, what the? And then we made a movie. So that's where productions came from. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Cranberry Productions said, oh, yes, I love the new secrets of the Mimic. Oh, that's good. So far I'm enjoying the game. I just happen to, I don't know how I do this. It's just never fails. I end up, that's the timer. I'm about to start reading again. Well, I guess I should say start reading. But the point is, it's funny because I just am so good at delays and like finding like MatPat. He used to go during his GT lives or his not lives or whatever and see how he like was like the super slowest getting through games. I think I'm beat. I don't know how I managed to do it, but the first big thing, Cranberry Productions said, haha. But yeah, the first big thing that required actually having to like deal with Jackie, I could not get my run button to work for the life of me. I couldn't figure out how to get my run. I just kept sashaying and going like, oh, how come I just keep getting gotten by Jackie? Like, no joke, it took me like 3 hours or something to finally. But what I ended up having to do is because since I couldn't figure out how to do the run button, because I didn't realize you had to push down on the controller and the move, which honestly isn't really good for my wrist. My wrist is like real jabbed. But and I couldn't figure it out. I didn't realize you had to push down. And then I called myself fixing the buttons by trying to do Steam input, but I think I ended up breaking it. But the point is, I eventually had to just figure out how to navigate just that part where you had to run from Jackie till I got to that crouch part, and then immediately try to escape so that I could grab the controller so I could then try and do all the gates. It took a while, but I managed. Cranberry Production said, dang, I can't even beat the first part like the chasing. Well, I'm just saying, if you might be running into the complication I had, which is if you're using your Xbox controller, if you're playing the Steam PC version through Steam and you're using your Xbox controller, you can't just move the cursor like I was doing. That literally just means walk every time. You have to somehow hold it down, then move it, which just even doing this is making my wrists not happy times. So effectively, I just had to be like, okay, I prefer to use my controller, but since I can't figure out run button, I really truly just need to like, and then I had to change my mapping on the keyboard because the way things were going, you have to hold down shift and then hit W. So basically I had to hold down shift, hit W, use my mouse on a mouse pad in a very limited capacity so I didn't move too jerky and hit the, because that's everything. I kept trying to run with the controller and as soon as you bang into, that part's irritating. As soon as you bang into a gate, it's like, nope, we're walking again. It's like, okay, this is not the walkathon time. This is not helpful. I get got every single time. Cranberry Production says, yes, that's what it was. But it's like, So effectively, I just finally had to be like, okay, let me just figure out how to do this part, just this one little instance of part, the entirety of running away from Jackie till right after I crouched down. So I had to map my crouch because that's what I was saying. So the crouch down button was supposed to be here somehow. There's no way that you can hold down Shift, hit W, and somehow get to your crouch button with the left CTRL. So effectively, I had to do a personal mapping, where I mapped. Oh, this might be helpful to you. Okay, so what I had to do is I had to map. They allow you to do a custom map of your keyboard. I don't know how to do it with the controller, but at least they did with the keyboard. So I mapped my crouch button to the plus button. So I was like, okay, all right, okay, here's Shift, here's W, here's my mouse, because I'm not going to worry about any other buttons but Shift and W. And I'm just going to mouse my way around this place. Just Shift, W, mouse my way around this place, and get to that crouch with my plus, and then hit escape real quick, and then pick up my controller and figure out how to do all the gates. I did. It just was like, oh, why? I don't like this kind of play where it takes forever. Not cool. Hold on, let me check my time. No joke, I have to go to work. Okay, I got a little bit more time. So it was like, okay, got through this. Then everything was okay. I got through the puzzle. I love the puzzles. In fact, I was so happy. One of the things I got to do on Juneteenth, I was just about to play some more Finance of Prey Secret of the Mimic. And just as I was, no joke, getting ready to start live on that, I got an email and I had just the night before gotten the wish list for Amanda the Adventurer 3. And sure enough, it's June 19th, Juneteenth, and I'm about to try and do Finance of Prey Secret of the Mimic, and I get an email saying, woo, demo for Amanda the Adventurer 3. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm immediately changing what I was going to do, like right now. Okay, great. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so DradXP just pulled a Kendrick Lamar. Effectively, they were like, oh, June 19th, this is a great time to just surprise people with stuff. So I played that entire demo. I think I did 3 or 4 runs. I didn't know what I was doing. Here's funny. I was watching a lot of people, since it's a short demo, I was watching quite a few people's playthrough and reactions to the demo. Not many people understand that the picture in the meeting room in the office area is the Pied Piper. So again, MatPat was like right, and I mentioned that during the first part of, anyway, that it was 3 hours. So again, MatPat thinks that he has got the crown on being slow with games. No, he does not. But so then that second time that really got me for Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic, it was in the welcome lobby, and I did not realize. So I would go out the security room and I would immediately run into the locker. Don't do that, because what happens is somehow or another, being in a locker triggers the mimic to come and mess with you. And I'm just grateful. Like, I pretty much limited myself to watching only if I got like in an issue. I watched, who is it? I want to say it's, Fusion Z Gamers playthrough. And so I saw what was supposed to happen with Jackie, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I am definitely doing something wrong. Let me try to figure out what I'm doing wrong. Let me try to figure out how to fix that. And the same thing applied for that part in the welcome lobby, because I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to put this code in this wall if I can't get any kind of breathing room at all, because the man was constantly trying to get at me anytime I'm out of locker. And then I saw him in his game playthrough just sashay on, go on up the stairs, fully do the code, and then be able to go back down to the security room. And I'm like, hold on, what did I do? So thankfully, I figured out, like, after seeing that, I was able to go up, do the code, get the thing, but then immediately had to come to the locker because the mimic was spawning, and I was like, okay, more locker time. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have to book it. So I ran down to the locker. So I just know that the next like irritating part is coming up. But I'm like, that's okay. I'm taking a break. I'll deal with that later. All right, let's get some reading time in before I have to go to work. But yeah, looking forward to more Secret of the Mimic, Hardness of Fairy, Secret of the Mimic coming up. Looking forward to some more Kindergarten 3 coming up. I cleared the entire janitor mission. That was fun. And A Man Adventure 3 will be coming out in the fall. So I'm looking forward to playing that whole thing when that comes out. About the author. Oh, sorry. This is a read-through, oddly enough, for Data Structures the Fun Way. And I'm using Adventure with coffee-filled examples by Jeremy Kubika. Yeah. All right. Those weren't even acknowledgements. All right. About the author. Jeremy Kubika is an engineering director specializing in artificial intelligence and machine learning. He received a PhD in robotics from Carnegie Mellon University and a BS in computer science from Cornell University. He spent his graduate school years creating algorithms to kill their asteroids. Actually, stopping them was, of course, left as future work. He is the author of multiple books designed to introduce people to computer science, including Computational Fairy Tales and The Sea is Detective. No Starch Press, 2016, as well as the Computational Fairy Tales blog. Sounds fun. All right. About the technical reviewer, Dr. Daniel Zingaro is an associate teaching professor of computer science and a award-winning teacher in the University of Toronto. His research focuses on understanding and enhancing student learning of computer science. He is the author of Algorithmic Thinking, No Starch Brush, 2020, a no-nonsense, no-math guide to algorithms and data structures, and Learn to Code by Solving Problems, No Starch Press, 2021, a primer for learning Python and computational thinking. Those sound like fun. Okay, brief contents. Oof. I feel like everybody got bored when I went back to the main topic of this live. Yeah, like I said, understandable. All right, Cranberry Productions, thank you so much for being here. I think you already left, but I do appreciate you being here. Acknowledgements. Introduction. Chapter 1, Information and Memory. Chapter 2, Binary Search. Chapter 3, Dynamic Data Structures. Chapter 4, Stacks and Queues. Chapter 5, Binary Search Trees. Chapter 6, Tries and Adapting Data Structures. Chapter 7, Priority Queues and Heaps. Chapter 8, Grids. Chapter 9, Spatial Trees. Chapter 10, Hash Tables. Chapter 11, Caches. Chapter 12, B-Trees. Chapter 13, Bloom Filters. Chapter 14, Skip Lists. Chapter 15, Graphs. Conclusion, Index. So, not nearly as bulky a book as C++ on for Dummies or Sam's Teach Yourself, HTML, CSS, JavaScript all in one. Okay. Let's see. Time check. All right, we got a little time. Contents in detail. I don't really feel like going over all that. I think the brief is enough. All right, now we're on to acknowledgements. I would like to start thanking my whole team at No Search Press who helped make this book reality. A huge thank you to Bill Pollock for starting this entire journey by suggesting I do a more technical follow-up to the CS Detective. Thank you to my amazing editors, Abigail Scott Rosenfeld and Liz Chadwick, for their excellent help, guidance, and suggestions. I would also like to thank Carlos Bueno, who originally pointed me to the team at No Starch. Thank you to Daniel Zagaro for his thorough and insightful technical review. His work was vital in improving both the accuracy and understanding of the material. A tremendous thanks goes out to all the people who provided valuable comments on earlier versions of this book. Bambi Brewer, Andrew Moore, Eleanor Riffel, and Kitstops HD. Their suggestions helped guide my approach and the direction of the book. A deep thank you to my family for their support. Thank you to Reagan, Nathan, and Julie for their encouragement and patience. Introduction. This is a book about computational thinking through the lens of data structures, constructs for organizing and storing data. It is more than a cookbook of handy data structures, rather explores the thinking behind these structures and their fundamental impact on solving complex problems using real-world analogies to make abstract computational concepts intuitive. The goal of this book... Oh, I just realized I forgot my glasses. Oh, that's going to be fun. The goal of this book is to provide new insights into how you can use pre-existing structure within the data to your advantage or create new structures to efficiently solve problems. Among other things, I discuss the differences between arrays and linked lists, the complexity and power of pointers, the effect of data structures on algorithmic behavior, the branching of tree-based data structures, mathematical mappings and hash tables, and the usefulness of randomization. In short, you'll learn to think about algorithms by investigating different ways to organize the data they process. You'll also apply these computational approaches to real-world problems, a surprising number of which focus on procuring a decent cup of coffee. Understanding how data structures function is critical to using them effectively. Just as an experienced carpenter wouldn't pound screws into wood with a hammer, or use sandpaper to cut a 2x4 in half, an experienced programmer needs to choose the right tools for every job. As we'll see repeatedly throughout the following chapters, every data structure comes with trade-offs. Saws cut through wood more efficiently than sandpaper, but create coarse edges. There's no single data structure that is perfect for every possible use case, but this is what makes computer science and the development of algorithms so interesting. A good computer scientist must understand how different data structures behave in order to determine where they can be best used. This book focuses on a few canonical data structures and uses them to explore fundamental themes in computational thinking. Each of these data structures is a useful exemplar of a more general class of data structures and of a conceptual approach. For example, B trees demonstrate one approach to the problems of keeping search trees balanced and optimizing for expensive memory accesses. I discuss the trade-offs between memory usage and accuracy with Bloom filters, the use of randomization with skip lists, and how to capture multi-dimensional structure with grids, quad trees, or KD trees. As such, this book is neither an introduction to programming, a comprehensive anthology of data structures, nor a full analysis of brewing coffee, although we will touch repeatedly on this important topic. Our goals are different: to develop mental tools to apply across a range of specific problems and programming languages. Intended audience. This book is for anyone who wants to learn more about the thinking behind the data structures that lie at the heart of computer science. I assume such basic familiarity with programming as can be expected after taking an introductory course, participating in a boot camp, or working through a beginner's programming book. Readers should be familiar with fundamental programming concepts such as variables, loops, and conditional statements. Some more adventurous readers might even have coded up some of the data structures or algorithms in this book already, or might do so as they read through it. However, you won't need to know the specific details of particular programming languages or algorithms. I hope this book appeals to a wide range of audiences. Practitioners who have learned basic programming from an introductory course will find an introduction to computational thinking that can provide a foundation for future investigation. Students will find a new way to understand particularly difficult or tricky topics. Mathematicians will learn new names and jargon for ideas they've used since well before computer science existed. And experienced computer scientists will find amusing new analogies to explain concepts they use every day. Language agnostic. This book is designed to apply to a wide range of programming languages. While this might come as a disappointment to the more opinionated readers who want to either A, see their favorite language featured throughout these pages, or B, argue about the author's terrible language preferences and how they must reflect suboptimal life choices. Since programming languages, like sports teams, are always a topic for heated debate, the concepts presented in the book are generally applicable across a range of languages. You can implement a binary search tree in almost any language, for instance. In fact, most programming languages already include many of these basic data structures as part of their core language or a standard library. The book uses pseudocode examples that are largely based on Python's general syntax. Since Python is widely used and easily readable programming language, I denote code blocks via indentation. Use standard equality notation, equal equals for equal, and exclamation point equal for not equal. Use true with a capital T and false with a capital F to indicate Boolean values. Denote comments with lines starting with the hashtag symbol, and pass composite data structures as references. Arrays are zero indexed, and the value at index I is referenced as A, R, straight brace opening, I, straight brace closing. However, I also deviate from the Python syntax wherever this aids readability. I specify all variables as type, :space, name to make the types explicit, and I use the value null to indicate a null pointer. I often use while, capital W, capital H, capital I, capital L, capital E, loops over for capital F, capital O, capital R, loops, or other compact forms to clearly show how the loop is iterating and its termination condition. I've intentionally kept the examples in this book simple in order to focus on the computational ideas behind them. This means that individual implementations may not be fully optimized and will often be more verbose than strictly necessary. Throughout the text, I break out different conditions to illustrate the thought process behind the approach. At times, the implementations vary from programming best practices in order to structure the code in a way that matches the explanation. In addition, to keep the example simple, I often leave out the basic validity checks that are vital to include in production programs, such as checking that our array access is in bounds. Needless to say, treat these examples only as illustrations of the concepts at hand, rather than using them verbatim in your own projects. This is a good rule in general. Never treat pseudocode as a full implementation. Always incorporate the relevant testing, validity checks, and other best practices when implementing algorithms yourself. On analogies and brewing coffee. This book makes extensive use of metaphor and analogy, illustrating complex technical concepts by comparison to sometimes absurd real-world scenarios. Similes are scattered throughout this book like blueberries through a muffin. Each chapter explains the intricate working of data structures and algorithms, with examples ranging from organizing your kitchen to determining whether you've ever tried a specific brew of coffee. Inviting you to consider how these computational concepts work in a different way from computer code. The examples will often bend the rules of reality, but be oversimplified or border on the ridiculous. For example, we repeatedly consider the question of storing and sorting extensive coffee collections, ignoring the tragic fact that coffee does go stale. While that means this book is not a strictly realistic guide to making the ultimate cup of coffee, the absurd analogies keep things fun and should encourage you to think outside your normal approaches. Simplifying the analogies allows us to focus on just those aspects that are critical to the computational concept. For example, when discussing the use of nearest neighbor search to find a close cup of coffee, I focus on distances, the core computational concept, and neglect such complicating factors as fences or rivers. My goal is to tailor the analogy to the core of the problem. I use analogies to augment formal descriptions and precise code. Personally, I find it easier to break free from technicalities and minutiae when viewing a data structure's operation in an active narrative context with people or even over-caffeinated squirrels interacting with physical objects, rather than sticking to the vocabulary of for loops and variable counters. Visualizing a frantic chase through a maze of alleyways provides a different perspective of graph algorithm from the formal context of iterating over abstract nodes and edges. I encourage readers to map these analogies to their own broad range of concepts, whether part of their daily life or fancies of the absurd. How to use this book. The book is structured progressively. That is, while each chapter focuses on a different computational concept, either a data structure or motivating problem, each also builds upon the previous chapters. Most of the later chapters, for example, rely on the discussion of memory-linked data structures and the use of pointers introduced in Chapter 3. We return to the basic binary search tree structure introduced in Chapter 5 again and again as we example variations of branching data structures. Thus, I recommend that you approach the chapters in order. As we explore different data structures and how they apply to various problems, we'll see consistent themes appear, including the impact of the data structure when algorithms accessing it, how to think about performance in the worst case, the importance of allowing for dynamic changes in your data set, and how to efficiently enable these changes, trade-offs among memory, runtime, code complexity, and accuracy, how we may need to tune data structures for the problem, and what trade-offs to consider, how we can adapt data structures to tackle new problems. These themes provide both a framework for thinking about the data structures and a set of questions to ask when facing a new problem. A critical aspect of choosing the data structure is understanding why it performs the way it does and how it will apply to new data. Most of all, the two questions that you should keep in mind throughout the book are how and why. How does a given data structure enable a computation? How do we structure the data to maximize efficiency in a given context? Why does a given structure enable these computations? How does the data structure break down in a different context? Why is the author using that ridiculous analogy? Why is the author so obsessed with coffee? Understanding the answers to these questions, other than the last one, will provide the foundation you need to effectively use our existing data structures and develop novel techniques in the future. All right, that's going to be it for this reading, this live stream. The reading that's in this live stream. Let me check my time. I'm gonna go check in to my job. So thank you so much, Cranberry Productions. It was very nice for you to be here. Hopefully I inspired you to try more Jackie, because I eventually got to do it. It just took a while there. I'm sure you can do it too. Just try to figure out something that works good. But yeah, that you gotta push that button down and go forward and leave it in the Xbox mapping. And if worse comes to worse, you can do like I did and just figure out how to use your keyboard and map. I don't know if you're using your key. The point is, if you were using the controller and it wasn't doing its thing, then the next best thing, and if you can't figure out how to get it pushed in and going and working correctly, the next best thing is try to mouse and keyboard it. For that first part, then crouch. And again, I recommend mapping the crouch, the customized crouch button to the plus, so you can still do this, but also be able to do the crouch, and then get to your controller was really helpful getting through the gate part of things. Like, I know that part. Anyway, thank you so much, Cranberry Productions, aka Golden Rat VR. Thank you to anyone who might have checked this out. And thank you to anyone who might check this out in the future. Stranger things have happened. And whenever, wherever, however, whatever, just make the most of it. That's the most important part. And I might not have my glasses, but I do have some sunglasses on hand if I need. And I'm going to go ahead and go. So again, whatever, wherever, however, whatever, just make the most of it. That's the most important part. Bye-bye.